Welcome back, blade lovers, to this old sword blade reviews. And I was recently reviewing some of the blades that I had put videos up on. Realized that this particular one, the Rike M2, was one that I hadn't done a singular review on yet. It was included in an overview of Rike knives back early in 2020. So it's such a beautiful, I know I keep saying knives are beautiful, well, many of them are, kind of a spaceship cyberpunk futuristic design as Rike is known for, that I thought I'd showcase it. It's just a large, massive, but artful knife. I loaned this out to my good friend on the West Coast, Dirk Werning. He did a review about 4 or 5 months ago, later in 2020. Liked it a lot. So figure here's my chance. Try to cover all the Rike knives that are in the collection. Some quick stats for you, and this was available also for a while on drop. And the version I have here is the all silver or all gray or whatever you'd like to call it. It also comes in a stone-washed black with some blue hardware and a couple other versions. It is in S35VN. It's considered to be a modified tanto, and if you can't see that right now, I'm going to see if I can show that to you in a bit. It's flat ground. It has 6AL4V titanium for a handle. It's a frame lock. It has a lock slider on the right side, which we'll show you as well. And the pocket clip is for right hand tip-up carry only. It has a lanyard hole. The blade thickness is a pretty stocky 5 millimeters. Blade length of 3.9 inches and a handle length 4.9 inches. Overall length 8.85 inches, and it weighs 5 ounces. So those are all the essentials except maybe the handle thickness, which I'll try to give you in just a moment. Let's back out slightly here. So let's take a cruise through this landscape of a spaceship-like handle. And if you've ever seen the Rike Thor, that is even more ornate and detailed than this. Rike is known for its incredible detailed CNC machining. You can see that the handle is stonewashed. You have a slot for a lanyard. And have an impressive guard, the Rike logo on the pivot, a long triangular shaped hole in the blade, which becomes kind of a fuller, which is a real interesting design. And there's that secondary grind where this turns into a tanto of sorts, although the grind and polish here is smooth. When I say polish, it is sort of a satin stonewash, now I'll call it a satin bead blast kind of a finish. Rike likes to use script for all of its markings on the blade, so they're hard to read. But what you're looking at there is the M2, which is the model. Over here, S35VN. And that's it for any sort of marking or billboarding, which is kind of nice. It has both a skeletonized and, again, futuristic spaceship kind of look to it. Has almost a full enclosed handle. Was going to call it a backspacer, but it's not. It is not a unibody. it has a very subtle seam down the middle that is nicely melded together. You can barely see that seam of the two halves. There you have more detailing on the butt end. There's your hardened steel insert for the lock bar. We have a ball bearing ceramic ball that is at the end of the clip, which has an arching design to it and a little slot at the very end. These screws, and I haven't tested them or taken them out, but I'm going to take Zelrik's suggestion that they are titanium. He took them out and tested them in his review from about 2 years ago. And these are all proprietary titanium screws, and they are T6s, I am told. But if you have a good tool and you're careful, you're not going to strip them. Here is the lock. It's very stiff, and it's there, but it is not prone to accidental engagement. You can choose to use it or not use it. Let's close them up, take a look at the action, which is pretty much drop shutty. Great action. A little bit of detent hang up there, as you have with most knives. Called a hang up. It's really the lack of a track for the detent, which many people like to modify and put a little racetrack in there so that you don't have that. So right here, once we get past that detent, it pretty much falls shut. There is your 5mm blade stock, perfectly centered. I haven't tried spidey flicking it. It's got enough of a hard detent that that's difficult to do. So I'm not going to use that to open the knife. Just doesn't seem to be set up for that purpose, although I'm sure there are some who can do it. Again, pressure, and it swings out. Almost impossible to fail it. And so with a little more energy, snaps right out there beautifully. What else can we say about this guy? Well, I did say I would take a measurement on the handle thickness just to give you that idea. So I'm set up in inches. Really not too bad, 0.55. And on the blade, you can see it change in thickness because there is an elongated swedge right there. We have jimping on the blade, but it's not particularly grabby. It's kind of smooth. As far as the ergos go, it looks strange as though it may not have good ergos, but it just falls right into the hand. I mean, for me anyway. And if you got larger hands, look, you've got plenty left over. The weight of 5 ounces isn't bad for a knife this large. Speaking of large, let's compare it to some large knives. The usual Rat 1, it is longer than the Rat 1 and slightly longer blade by about a ½ inch maybe. The Freak, definitely longer than the Freak. And again, if we switch them around, it'll look even a little bit bigger. And Griptilian, sure, why not? The grippy's a small guy next to it. Last but not least, my EDC of late, Spyderco Amalgam. It's going to come right up on it. I would say that the M2 is ever so slightly larger. Pretty much in the same class though, size-wise. So the Rike M2, no fancy name for him, just a M and a 2, Model 2 perhaps. There is an M1. Check out some of the Rike knives. You can see that I've probably done a good 8 or so reviews on Rike, both as a collective and individually. They've got the tool layout still, which is the first G10 integral knife. That's an interesting one. And we may revisit some of these at some point, or perhaps add some new Rikes to the collection. So I hope you like this vid, and give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. There's more content coming. Have a great day. This Old Sword, signing out.